In 2011, something very interesting happened. There was a guy named Scott Young. He did something that shocked the world. He completed MIT's 4-year computer science course in just 1 year. At first, people said, wow, this guy must be insanely intelligent. But then the real story came out. Scott Young didn't attend MIT. He didn't pay expensive fees. He didn't even step inside the campus. He learned everything for free using MIT's open course website. And when people thought that was already unbelievable, they discovered something even more shocking. He went from basic painting to professional level painting. At the same time, he learned a new language, Spanish. Now people were really confused. They started asking one question again and again. How did you do all this so fast? Scott Young answered that question through blogs, and finally through a book called Ultralearning. In that book, he shared 9 powerful principles that explain how anyone, yes, even you, can learn new skills faster, deeper, and smarter. And in this video, we're going to explore all 9 Ultralearning principles, one by one. So make sure you watch till the end, because this can completely change how you learn. Let's begin. Principle 1, Metalearning. The first principle is metalearning. Before you start learning anything, ask one simple question. How does this skill actually work? Most people skip this step. They jump straight into random videos, random courses, random books. Ultralearners do the opposite. They first study the map before starting the journey. For example, if you want to learn a language, what are the core skills? Speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Which part matters most? How long does it usually take? When Scott Young started MIT's curriculum, he didn't just watch lectures blindly. He first understood what to study, in what order, and why. Metalearning saves time, energy, and frustration. If you don't understand the system, you'll always feel lost. Principle 2. Focus. Remove distractions ruthlessly. The second principle is focus. Deep learning needs deep focus. Not half focus, not phone-in-hand focus, not notification field focus, real focus. Scott Young studied in intense, distraction-free sessions. No social media, no multitasking, no excuses. Today, most people say, I don't have time. But the truth is, they don't have focus. Even 30 to 60 minutes of pure focus is more powerful than 3 hours of distracted study. Ultralearners design their environment so distractions don't even exist. Focus isn't willpower, it's environment design. Principle 3. Directness. Learn by doing the real thing. The third principle is directness. This is where most people fail. They prepare, they plan, they get ready forever. Ultralearners jump directly into the real skill. If you want to learn coding, start building projects. Learn a language, start speaking early. Learn painting, start painting, not just watching tutorials. Scott didn't just study Spanish, he used Spanish in real conversations. Learning happens fastest when you face the real challenge, not a simulation. You don't learn swimming by reading books. You learn by getting into the water. Principle 4. Drill. Attack your weakest points. The fourth principle is drill. Most people practice what they're already good at. Ultralearners do the opposite. They attack their weakest areas. For example, bad at pronunciation? Drill pronunciation. Struggling with math problems? Drill those exact problems. Can't remember vocabulary? Drill memory recall. Scott Young broke complex skills into small pieces and practiced them separately. This feels uncomfortable, but growth lives in discomfort. If you always avoid your weaknesses, they become permanent. Principle 5. Retrieval. Test yourself constantly. The fifth principle is retrieval. This means testing yourself instead of rereading. Most people think learning means reading again. watching again, highlighting again. But real learning happens when you try to pull information from your brain. Ask yourself, can I explain this without notes? Can I solve this problem without help? Scott used active recall instead of passive review. If you can't recall it, you don't really know it. Testing isn't the result of learning. Testing is learning. Principle 6, feedback. Get corrected fast. The sixth principle is feedback. Learning without feedback is like shooting arrows blindfolded. Ultralearners want feedback, fast, honest, sometimes uncomfortable. Scott checked his work against solutions, native speakers, and real-world results. If you don't know what you're doing wrong, you'll keep repeating mistakes. Feedback shortens the learning curve dramatically. Don't fear criticism, fear slow improvement. Principle 7, retention. Don't forget what you learn. The seventh principle is retention. Learning fast is useless if you forget everything. Ultralearners use spaced repetition, regular review, and real usage. Scott revisited material strategically, not randomly. The brain remembers what it uses. If you don't apply knowledge, your brain deletes it. Retention turns short-term learning into long-term skill. Principle 8, intuition. Understand, don't memorize. The eighth principle is intuition. This is about deep understanding. Ultralearners don't just memorize formulas or rules. They ask, why does this work? How does this connect? Scott focused on understanding patterns, not isolated facts. When you build intuition, you solve new problems easily. You adapt faster. You don't panic when things change. Memorization breaks under pressure. Understanding survives. Principle 9, experimentation. Find what works for you. The final principle is experimentation. There is no perfect method for everyone. Ultralearners experiment. Different schedules, different techniques, different approaches. Scott tested and adjusted constantly. What works for others may not work for you. Learning is personal. Treat your learning like a lab experiment. Test, observe, improve. Big lesson from Ultralearning. Scott Young wasn't a genius. He didn't have superpowers. He had a system. Ultralearning is not about talent. It's about strategy, focus, and courage. In a world where most people learn slowly, Ultralearning gives you an unfair advantage. If Scott Young could compress 4 years of MIT into one, if he could master painting and a new language, then the real question is not, can you do it? The real question is, will you change how you learn? Subscribe now and start learning smarter, faster, and without wasting years.